recording. Cool. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the New Paradigm Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Marja West. And I want to start off by quoting your book. Everything in existence comes from the same source. We are the ascended masters. We are all sovereign beings. I want to ask you, what initiated you in your healing journey?
I was raised in a very violent, abusive, neglectful household by a man-hating mother who was raising her children on her own and was so filled with rage that, I was horrified and afraid of her. And so being a child who had a natural vibrancy, I'm very loud, I'm animated, I love being in my body, I love beautiful things, I love nature. It was too much for her. And so she didn't have, the sort of abilities to regulate and moderate her reactivity. So everything was met with a backhand or a slap or a shove or some kind of name calling. And I thought that shit was normal. And then, when we came to America, I had neighbors who would invite me over. I mean, they kind of noticed that something was a little off with her. And I would go to their houses, and these people were loving, they were talking to each other, they weren't yelling or calling each other names, or their moms weren't upset all the time. And there were fathers there. It's like, what? It made me realize that I was in a completely different position than the kids that I grew up with. And I realized this isn't right. It's not right. And I wanted something else. And so, the contrast of all of that, where you have name calling and abuse, and it's not just physical abuse, but it's sexual abuse and just emotional abuse, mental abuse. You just get your fill of it, and the will to survive, the will to find something else, focus in on something else. I think it hit me very, very early. So I wanted to know answers, how the universe works. How can I better my situation? And a lot of it was me escaping, like I pretended I was a fairy, and that kind of stuff. So I tend to default to other realms of reality, unbeknown to me, that I later learned that, those realms of reality are just as real. So that's how it started.
That's beautiful. And thank you so much for actually being able to be vulnerable, because I know that in the beginning, it's really hard to actually share this, because we feel in a way embarrassed, because we don't want people to know how it is at home.
Yes.
Because then we go to our friends' houses, and then we see this, like you see, like they have two parents, maybe it looks like they're financially set and they have all the cool toys. And then you're just thinking like, wow, it's so different here. And then you start to realize other realities.
Yes.
And that really leaves a dark and really dense, but beautiful imprint. And beautiful, and I mean beautiful, because this is what's going to actually be the awakening of our heart.
Yes. And I felt that, like I felt very deeply connected to animals and to nature. The stars, I studied astronomy. So that's my hard science background, was in astronomy. And so for me, it just was such a weird juxtaposition to have all this love for nature, and then, have this family that was basically very psychotic and very, very frightening. So it was, the split. I had to deal with the split, and it was very challenging, very, very challenging.
Yeah, I relate so much the way you describe it because I feel also like the madness, I feel the illness in the family, and I can relate so much to what you are saying because in my family as well, I had, like deep stories of demonic possession, like really deep stuff, and I think it comes from this lineage, right, that we are healing, like this
Yes.
deep
Mhm.
lineage and this attachment they have to darkness, and not actually seeing darkness as light, but seeing darkness as something as evil. And
Yes.
because they haven't tapped into it, it's hard for them to really, open themselves up to something else, like to a bigger dimension of themselves.
Yes. Yes. And so my background was very limited. My mother is Filipina. And so
Mhm.
the whole Catholicism and just, but here's the thing is that there was this hypocrisy within her, where on the one hand, she was religious and a devout Catholic. And then on the other hand, she was a psychopath. And, so living the split of being sort of, chaste and all this stuff. And I also have a Jewish background, which I didn't relate much to as well. And so, and then to watch her do the stuff, I just kind of like, it made me like not trust anything around her, anything she said, the way she was. It was very apparent by the time I was 2 that I was really on my own and I needed to figure it out. And fortunately for me, I had neighbors who were Buddhists, who were Hindus, who had a very different approach to spirituality rather than religion, and so that was really, really helpful because it made me feel like, okay, we can just leave that over there and not focus in on that and focus in on something that's more life affirming, that's more natural, that isn't filled with these lies and this bullshit and this, oh, you say this but then you behave like this. I mean, I needed, I I think is one of the reasons why I like mathematics and some science is that when you deal with numbers, there's no pretensies here. You can prove both sides of the equation or not. And none of the math added up whenever I was immersed in that crazy, cray cray, you know, world of hers.
Mm.
Mm.
Yes, I can truly understand how that feels because I feel like there we have some similar backgrounds as the single mother with the father and everything that you were going through. And it sounds like with also the hypocrisy within the religion and having this Catholic background as well of where you were raised.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this definitely is already a setup for many deep distorted, dark programming that we are transmuting in our own lineage.
Yes.
So I would love for you to share with us, was there a very life changing, like this major awakening that happened in your life that actually set
Yes.
you off to start into your deep trauma healing work?
So I had a nanny. My mom couldn't deal with me. So I had various caretakers. And this one nanny she was actually very aware of not just my mother's situation and her craziness, but also uh, what I was availing myself to. So I had a very active relationship with the seen and the unseen. So my first experience was, I called them my light being friends, and they were balls of light that would come to me in the dark after everybody was asleep. I would either hang out outside and watch the stars and like really pray for a spaceship to come get me. honestly, because I wanted so badly to escape. And a lot of that was, influences of science fiction, which I adored as a child.
No, but we feel you on this.
I
Trust me.
feel you.
That's
Yeah,
why we love
yeah.
you.
I
Actually,
had the
love
same
you.
thing. I would go outside and lay on the floor hoping to get just taken.
Yeah, so
Talking to the
there was that
stars.
aspect. And once it was dark, the light beings would come. And so I would have these very intuitive psychic conversations where they were telling me about the ways of the universe, the ways of creativity, the ways of just the laws of the universe. And my nanny caught me having a really good time in my bedroom with the light beings. She saw them too. And she warned me. She said, you need to be very discerning when you are having these conversations, not to be so boisterous, because a lot of people cannot access this reality or what it is that you're seeing. And you could be institutionalized. I mean, she told me very, very plainly to be careful, because a lot of people are not going to understand your ability to see beyond, and to just be careful. She also encouraged me, however, to stay true to who and what I am, and to, just really stay in the reality of who and what I am, regardless of what was going on around me. And at the time, I think I was like 4 or 5. I didn't really understand the sort of depths of it, but I understood it. Like I felt it in my body, I felt it in my cells that, I really I've got to be careful. And one of the things that happened is I started seeing, I was very hyperactive and was put on Ritalin. I remember taking my first pill and feeling myself receding far, far away from reality. And I'm like, no, I am so not taking this. So I would take that little pill and stick it in the philodendron, which was in the family room of my home. And that plant went crazy. It was all over the ceiling, all over. And so that was one of the things. It's like, I just started advocating for myself, and rather than announcing it, I just did what I wanted to do. And because it was easier to do that than to push up against it and get in her face, which would just activate all kinds of like rage and craziness. And it's like, I don't need that. I don't need that. So that's essentially what started it. It's just many different ways, little things that I started doing for myself, because it was like, that's not true for me. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
I love this because you just talked about what is truly an awakening and how it manifests into our life. It's like, this reality becoming distorted, this reality becoming distorted. And now we actually, we actually face something that is, like bigger, like higher, and
Yes.
tapping into this multidimensional self. And
Yes.
it's beautiful the way you express it. So thank you so much.
And one of the other things that I did as well is everybody was like focused in on the television. I had cousins that lived with us as well. Everybody, they were like zombies, just. And I remember there was one particular news thing. So when I was growing up, it was all about Vietnam, on and on and on and on and on. I mean, it was blood and gore, all kinds of stuff. And I remember walking, because everybody was upset. I was like 6, maybe younger, walking around and pulling the cord, pulling the power from the TV. I'd done that before for some kind of political person's funeral. Everybody was upset. I did the same thing before. It's like, why watch something that is going to upset you and just kind of stay there like a zombie? Like, I didn't get it. It's like, you're upset. Why watch it? So I just figured, I'm just going to pull the plug. Why not? And unfortunately, it would piss everybody off because all of a sudden, you know, they're having to snap out of this, you know, this kind of thing that's like going on, and they don't even know what's happening. It's like, wow. Yeah,
Hypnosis.
I was
Yeah, there's
on
a
my
lot.
own, seriously on my own.
So I want to ask you if you could tell us more about the heart-based humanity. Is it a movement? What is it, Julie?
I really believe that the heart-based new humanity is our original divine state as humans or as spiritual beings having a human experience. And so I believe it's our natural state. And I believe that more and more of us are waking up to this natural state and coming back, you know, and not as a form of my truth is truer than yours, or you know, that kind of nonsense. It's really coming from a place of true embodiment that we are loving, creative beings, and that's what we're here to do. Is we're here to love and we're here to create. So that's my stance on it. And unfortunately, we've been everything has been over the millennia by the ruling class families, the powers that want to be. I call them the demons that are like running the world, running the matrix. The matrix for me is a satanic inversion of the true quantum field creation field universe. So rather than being humans, creative beings here to move formless into form in the true quantum field universe, we are inverted into slaves. We're limited. The matrix tells us who and what we are, prescripts us into these modes and these roles and these, you know, I mean, people tell me, well, you know, I was born, I'm going to do everything that my family's done because that's just what we do. I hear this shit all the time, and it blows my mind. I mean, I really want to take like cold water and just splash it on people when I hear that shit, because do you realize what the fuck you're saying? Like, I can't believe it. And they are earnest in what they say. Like, they really believe that shit.
Yeah, and
Amazing.
I feel you, it's frustration, right? Because we see it happening, and that's actually like part of actually us not being triggered by people's frustration and then just allowing things to be. And I love how you describe this heart-based humanity, because it's us coming from our heart space, remembering that we are this universal love, and we are on this planet that is obviously, we feel into the polarities. We're experiencing the light and the shadow. So we need to be able to accept things as they are and just know that we're only here to take personal responsibility.
Exactly. And that's a problem. No one wants to take personal responsibility within the matrix. It's somebody else's fault, and you're going to pay for it. I'm going to blame you. It's all your fault. You made me do it. Like, what?
And this fallen matrix is all about hypnotizing, right? And just really imprinting things through subliminal messages in our subconsciousness.
Yes, hijacking our attention, whether it's through pain or trauma or riches, greed, power over others.
Sex.
Yes, sex. I mean, that's one of the lowest common denominators. Sex, money, power, survival. Those are, I mean, those are the main ways, the main topics of hypnosis, of hijacking one's attention. And then you have new age bullshit that's trying to tell you that, oh, you've got to awaken, it's on love and light. I mean, God, I start laughing when I hear that shit. I remember the first time I heard that, I thought, I think this person actually believes this, you know. And so anger is a negative vibe. No, anger is the seed for change.
It's true.
That's why it comes up and people push it down and push it. I don't know if you've ever seen people who stuff that anger down and they try to smile. They can't do it. Their faces are frozen because they're full of shit, basically. And they're full of this toxic energy where they're just thwarted and frustrated and pushed down into this teeny tiny little box when they should be expansive, when they should be telling somebody to fuck off, where they should be leaving a situation, leaving a job, leaving a relationship, leaving a city, leaving a reality, and forging out on their own. But the matrix says, no, you can't do that. You know, or they're so tuned into a prefabricated script, they don't even realize they're following the script. They actually think they have free will. And all they're doing is following a prefabricated script. And that's what they're doing. And then they die. And then they come back and do it again. You know, it's like, yeah.
The trap, it's just continuing to recycle the same energy.
Yes.
It never
Yes.
evolves beyond it because it's in a hypnosis. So it's
Yes.
recreating the same subconscious pattern over and over again. It just changes the experience,
Yes.
the character, but it's still the same pattern that has not.
So it's a movie. The Matrix, everybody in the Matrix that's stuck there is in their prefabricated movie. And this goes for generational bullshit. It goes for any of the divide and conquer shit shows within the Matrix. Everybody's just following the script. So unless you wake yourself up and snap the fuck out of it and exit it on purpose and compose your own reality as a true sovereign being having a human experience, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be creating and contributing to the expansion of the true quantum field creation field universe, not the expansion of the enslavement of humanity within the Matrix. You know, it's like, yikes.
Yes, definitely. And I would love to actually dive into your book because this is where I know you talk all about the stuff that right now you're beginning to really hit. And I would love for you to share more about your book and your intention, your book called Effed Wide Open.
So the sort of initial idea about the book, it wasn't my idea. I was actually doing a training in Bulgaria. And it was a very interesting mix of people because a lot of people didn't speak English. And my Russian is very poor. And so I had a friend who was interpreting. And even though we had a language barrier, it was very, very clear that people were like really getting where I was coming from. And this was a trauma deactivation practitioner training. So it was one of my lead-ins to the sort of big training. So this was the sort of first step, and people were getting it. Like they were really feeling heard because a lot of these men and women had escaped communism. They had escaped all this sort of totalitarian mind control, body control. You can't go anywhere. There's armed soldiers, you're being starved. I mean, just this unbelievable litany. You're being starved or you're being trafficked. Okay. So one of the suggestions came through the interpretation that I really needed to like put this in a book form and to really just kind of lay it out, because the first part of the training is really about how the Matrix serves not humanity, but the demons that are actually running the world and creating all this for their own benefit. And one of their benefits is that they get to use humanity as puppets, marionettes, get them to do their bidding, you know, dangle a few little carrots of power, fame, fortune, power over others, power over the resources in order to control humanity's behavior within the Matrix. So you're either a perpetrator or you're a victim. There we go. So the divide and conquer. And so I was told over and over again, we need to get this, because, I was laying it out in modules. And I honestly, I remember going back to my hotel room and like, fuck, I don't want to do that. It just scared the shit out of me. And then little by little, I realized, girl, this is like practically written. But what I needed to do is that I needed to personalize it. And so that was the process. It was a 10-year process, almost 10 years of me taking my curriculums and then inserting my personalized stories. And so, which is the complete antithesis of what I teach. Because people who work with me, they get to tell their story once, maybe twice, and then you shut the fuck up about it. I don't want to hear it again. We're going to deconstruct it. Okay. We're going to deconstruct it. You're going to intend a different life for yourself. You're going to tell a different story. So for me to go back and insert my personal story and recapitulate all that shit, it was a fucking nightmare, because number one, I was pushing up against it. I had resistance to it. It was antithetical to what I was teaching. I felt like a hypocrite, a fraud. But at the same time, if I did not do it, it wouldn't be real completely. It would be like this, I'd be like a talking head instead of an embodied person because what is it? What is it that we do in deactivating trauma and trauma healing? We are embodying it, integrating it into the cells. There is no polarity. It's an integration of the totality of your experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the amazing, the blissful, and you become a whole human. Okay. All the while owning your attention. And that's what spiritual awakening is. It is owning your attention. It is not allowing yourself to be hijacked by the shit shows in the matrix. And if you are hijacked, you know how to wake yourself up and snap your ass out of that place. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to do it all the time. People, new age bullshit says once you're spiritually enlightened, everything's, it's nonsense. It's not a one-off event. It's a constant thing. That's why they call it a spiritual practice, because there's so many things that are going to grab your attention. We have 3 attention centers: the outer screen of the shit show, the inner screen that goes on in your head based on what you're witnessing, and the center screen where you can observe the shit show and the shit going on in your head and have full capacity to be in your power, completely awake and conscious, and be able to activate your creation field and compose a different reality. Because people think, well, the power of now, that was a great book, but you know what? It was new age bullshit. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the power of now is a done fucking deal. You can't change it. When you create reality, you are composing the upcoming frames. You can't change what you already see because it's based on the past.
Yeah, it's like this kind of like catchy sentences, like law of attraction.
Yes.
You want to manifest this into your life. You want to manifest money, and all of these things are just like part of this big agenda. And
oh my God, I know. And the divide. There's a divide in new age bullshit. There's a divide in feminism. There's a divide in technology. There's a divide there's a divide. I mean, I was banned from a talk that I was supposed to give in Toronto a few years back because, and I didn't know what was going on. I was given a piece of paper. They wanted me to sign it that acknowledge the 90 plus pronouns of different genders. I thought my head was going to fucking explode. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm sorry. And they were very, very serious that there was a climate where you fuck up on this, you will be arrested for a hate crime. And I'm just like, wait,
Oh, no,
I'm
come
sorry.
on.
My
on,
talk
man.
is about the integration of the masculine, feminine within. I am not signing a piece of paper. And they said, well, then you can't speak. And I'm going, okay, I won't speak.
Yeah,
And sometimes you just got to make the call. You can't compromise.
it really
You can't
reminds
compromise it.
it really reminds me of the one of the latest podcasts that we did, and we talk about this. And she was telling me, she was asking me, so how many pronouns do you think that there are out there? And I
Because
was
I don't
like,
even know.
I think like maybe 1,000. Really? Yeah, it was like this.
It's why this is
1,000.
another way of the biggest hijack ever. Now they want you
Totally.
as
More
you're growing up
divide.
a little baby.
Let's just
Now they want
split
to
and hate each other. And
so
here's
you
the thing.
forget about what's true. And
Here's
get
the
lost
thing.
and change the outside of your physical body and your gender.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of my ex-girlfriends, who is now a man, okay, because at one point in my life I identified as bisexual, then I identified as lesbian. Okay, I've done it all. It's like, whatever, I'm just a human being. I love who I love. I'm attracted to who I'm attracted to. It doesn't matter. But this person that I was with is now a man, resents the fact that the transgender that he is part of is being hijacked and politicized by people who don't know a fucking thing about what she to he has gone through. And it is a personal journey. And it's one of those things that you can't lump it and then, sit there and divvy it up so that you can get votes, or so you can weaponize woundology, so you can weaponize trauma. I mean, it blows my mind. So dare I say, the Matrix is nothing but trauma-based mind control. It's just controlling everybody. You can't do this, you can't do that, to mask or unmask. Me being asked on a Zoom call to put on a fucking mask. Are you kidding? Like, hello.
I remember you mentioning it. It's crazy.
That is wow. That's on another level again. And speaking of
another level of stupid craziness, like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. But then, at the same time, I don't get it, and I don't fall for it. I don't fall for it. I laugh it off, and I just, okay, let's just swipe left. Let's just do something else.
That's beautiful.
And that's what it is when your attention is hijacked. You gotta catch yourself going to sleep. Otherwise, you're gonna find yourself asleep in the Matrix, and it's too late. And then you'll have to wake yourself up. Either way, you have to own your attention. And it is your attention that waltzes in and out of the Matrix. So when you start that awakening process and you start waltzing in and out of the Matrix, and you are residing more from your center screen, your attention center, and composing reality, composing your life and up-leveling your life, what happens is you become the director of your own movie, and everybody else in the Matrix is an actor in your movie.
That's
powerful. And that, because of your ability to compose your reality and own your attention, okay, the Matrix actually conforms and becomes a cooperating component in your life. That's when it's amazing. And that's, that's part of my purpose in this work that I'm doing, is to really teach people how to do that, because that is our true nature. We are creative beings. We're grand creators. And the Matrix, and here's the thing about the Matrix doesn't even know it. It just sees us as energy food to hijack our attention and our energy and our lives, and get us to believe that we can't do this and we can't do that, or we can only do this and that because our families did it for generations and generations. And how rude of you to not be loyal. I mean, it's just like, man, there is no trick or tool that they do not use to keep humanity in line and corralled.
And this, I really feel it through the mind, because it really happens, and the way it manifests, because we also like, like talking about lower entities, but understanding how these lower entities are just working, like towards making us believe that we're not sovereign, that
Yeah,
we're limited,
yeah,
and all these kind
exactly.
of things. And it happens through mind control. And
Yeah,
this is something you can truly
yeah,
experience. And
yeah,
if we don't pay attention, if we don't switch it off, then
yeah.
actually this lower self talking and kicking in, this is a part of the matrix.
Yes, absolutely. And the deep inner work really begins when you start noticing the sort of polarity within yourself, whether it's that your inner masculine or your inner feminine going to war with each other. Like I was a bad bitch once upon a time, and I was emasculating my inner man. And I felt sorry for the dude because I was like, wow, just really fucking upset with shit. And he's just like going, I don't know what to do. I don't have any more balls. You want this and you want that, and I don't do it right. And then I realized, whoa, okay, girl, you got to snap out of it, because my inner dude is actually on my side. My inner feminine is giving him this false information because she's pissed. She's pissed. And why is that? Because there is this programming of the divide and conquer. And I had to get straight with my shit on that and really saw what I was doing to myself. And so for me as a woman, and I am also saying this about men because they have to figure this out. Our masculine is the part of us that can be out in the world, be out in the universe and do stuff. Our feminine is the part of us that's magnetic and creative. It comes up with the ideas. The masculine is actually integrating that information and making it so, taking action. So it's like, oh my God, when you start seeing the divide within yourself, you're able to step back and you have more compassion. You have more compassion for your sisters, more compassion for your brothers. I feel badly for men, for a lot of men, because they can't do anything fucking right. I mean, they get blamed for the entire history of humanity based on the shit shows of the demonic powers that want to be. And in truth, these men have suffered. They have suffered. And I'm not minimizing the suffering that women have done as well. But, and I get into a lot of trouble because you're not no, dude. No. Nobody can accuse me of being anti-feminist. I'm not. I just don't believe in man hating. I don't believe in humanity hating. I don't believe in victim consciousness. I believe in self-responsibility. Whether you're a man or a woman, take responsibility for what you do and what you don't do.
Mm-hmm.
And a story. And I get so much shit for that. It's like, okay, whatever. I don't care. I'm not here to please people. I'm not here to be friends with most people. I'm here really to snap people and so that they can get back into alignment with themselves, and to see the divide and conquer in everything that they adhere to within the matrix, and so many people go unchecked, unchallenged, unquestioned with all this matrix bullshit. It's like they don't even know how to do research. They look up Wikipedia. That's one of the worst fucking things you can do, along with the Google. It's like all that has been
Wikipedia, no?
You had one.
You had one.
So funny.
Oh, yeah,
Oh man.
It's a funny world. And I would love, actually, I want to quote something from your book. And you say, as children, we were programmed to believe what was good about being female, as well as what was bad or even evil about being female.
Yes.
Can you elaborate
Yes.
a bit more for our listeners, please?
So I learned English in a very Catholic school that was UK based. And so one of the things, the whole thing about Adam and Eve, like I call it the mythology of Adam and Eve, and also the mythology around the evils and the feminine vials that she made me do it. Oh my God, men losing control, losing their shit over a woman, and it's her fucking fault. I mean, I just like, I have this sort of thing going on when I was growing up. I remember when my period started. I was met with such fear and disgust, and now I couldn't do certain things because men would not be able to control themselves. I'm just like
Wow.
and it made me realize, wow, there is so much bullshit to this. Like this carte blanche, let's just blame it all on women or blame it all on men. It's the same mind control, whether you want to blame it all on men or blame it all on women. It's the same shit. And you can't get away from it because it's so ingrained in our mythology and in the mind control of humanity, the war between the sexes, all of that. It's just ingrained in that. And it's ingrained in our mind control about sexuality. And I'll just say, make plain about it. We are all programmed to be sex slaves unless we were consciously conceived outside of the matrix by parents who consciously conceived us because they had completed the great work and were living mostly in their center screen in the true quantum field creation field universe. Sorry, we're all programmed to be sex slaves. I was definitely, and I still at 62, I'm still fucking around with some shit in that vein where I don't have it straight, where I sit there, I catch myself, wait, did I just think that? No, I don't believe that. But there are certain trigger thoughts or emotions or just these body visceral, when you just feel it in your body and you start to kind of notice a quivering, or you start noticing a whole trajectory of thought forms, and you're going, wait, you wake yourself up. Is that mine? Where's that coming from? Is that a thought ball coming from the whole entirety of the mental field of human existence? I don't know. So I've had to excavate a lot of these things. It's particularly if it captivates me enough so that I lose my center, and and I'm in my inner screen tripping out on shit, I mean, the self-awareness does not stop. The work is continuous because as spiritual beings having a human experience in the true quantum field creation field universe, we're expanding, we're ever becoming, ever evolving, ever being. So it doesn't stop.
Powerful, powerful. And can you explain to our listeners how traumas are passed down from generation to generation?
Well, they're passed down from generation to generation because there isn't one person that has excavated the shit. And but the beauty of that is that it only takes one person on either side of the generations, the lineages, to change the fate of their tribe in each direction, in each lineage, okay? In all directions, past, present, and future. So that great work is so imperative because it is one of the main controls for the matrix to keep us all, we're not gonna why are you a doctor? You hate it. Why do you hate being a doctor? Well, it's just because all us women, we just do. I hear that shit and I'm just like, stop it. Well, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? I want to do art. Do art. But you can't, and there's all these you can't do this, you can't do that. There's no money. It's just like this. And then there are those who have the audacity to be who they are, the audacity to have, the audacity to create what it is that they want, and to be an artist, and they're killing it, you know? How is that? And it really is what you are determined to allow yourself to have. That's the bottom line. But in the matrix, we're all unworthy. We're all sinners, you know, we're all incapable, helpless, stupid, whatever, you know. It's just like, just pick one, you know.
You know what you are saying, it truly reminds me of this figure of the scapegoat, you know. The scapegoat actually, you know, like having the burden of the entire family, carrying the
Yes.
burden of the entire family. And this person is actually here to transmute and
Yes.
transform.
Yes. And what's
But they
funny
have
about
to-
scapegoats is
Was the
that,
parents in the family.
right. Well, and scapegoats are often banished and they flourish. They're doing their lives. I'm doing my life. I don't have contact with my family. I chose that. And I think everybody has to have a crossroads, because what I'm noticing with people who do deep trauma work, either for themselves or for other people as a vocation, as a calling, is that the people who fail quite often in their healing journey will often revert back to the tribe, because they can't take the pressure, or they can't stand on their own. They can't do it. They need that validation, or even if it's no validation, they need to be able to chase that phantom, and they can't stand on their own. And when you do this work, you're going to get thrown under the bus. The tribe isn't going to like it. They're not going to like it.
This is why we are in Mexico.
Yeah, trust, we have left everything behind, and I completely feel it. And
Yeah.
it's just, everyone has their own journey, and we just have to follow our hearts, and it may look
Absolutely.
for others, but for a lot of us that are doing this deep trauma work, and also it's our life path, our calling, a lot of us tend to actually like leave where
Yeah.
we were born
Yeah.
and just continue our work and continue to evolve. And I feel like it's just a natural process that is part of healing. You need to remove yourself out of the toxic environment that created trauma in the first place.
Absolutely.
It's
It's
change in
not
the same
fertile
environment.
ground for your up-leveling, for your ascension into becoming who you truly are.
Exactly. It's super challenging because you can be there and you can go back to your childhood and do this as part of your healing, but then you understand in part of your healing that this is it. I've done my work. I did what I need to do here now. And now my only way is to expand and explore and create my own reality outside of what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Outside of this
Beautiful.
environment that I appreciate. I'm in deep gratitude because now I can do my work from this. It's like, this is the inheritance. This is my inheritance.
Yes. It's the
trauma that I'm
launch pad,
transforming.
basically.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
and the desire and the passion to get to the truth, to get to the other side. You know, it's the heroes and heroines' journey into the underworld, onto the overworld, and the overstanding of everything. You know, you're actually acknowledging the tremendous challenges that your ancestors went through, because all of what they went through, that everything they've gone through, has actually contributed to the passion within you that's being lit and being called forth to be shared with everybody else that is looking for your medicine, that's looking for your wisdom. And, you know, for me, that's the crime of the enslavement of humanity, is that there are so many people that are just, they're never going to get out of it. They're never going to get out of it. And it's very sad to me. And at the same time, I do have, you know, I compose a different reality. And in my world, it's a different, in my universe, it's a different reality. So yeah.
I feel you completely. And it can be sad. And this is something that now being, what is it, 15 months now, 14 months away from my home country, seeing my family, like my mother, my siblings, my nieces, the sister's pregnant now, and I'm not going to be able to see my newborn niece when she's born because I have work here to do. And, I don't resonate with going back to California anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
Me neither. Me neither.
I feel like it's also healing to create this physical distance with your family, because sometimes, like you don't have choice. Like in 2018, I had to leave because the environment I was in was so toxic.
Absolutely.
My life impossible. So I had to leave. That's it.
Yeah.
And people told me, oh, are you not ashamed? Like you left your mom and stuff like this. And no, because I needed to do it for myself. Okay?
Absolutely.
I needed to take care of myself. I needed to get into this healing journey.
Yes.
And this was the most important thing for me at that time of my life, because, my entire life I had to take care of my mom, and now I had to take care of myself. I had to take care of the inner child,
Absolutely. And that's what we have to do to learn about what sovereignty is.
Yes.
You have a right to your life.
Exactly. And this is actually creating a healthy boundary, because we recognize that we have this love for ourselves, and we shared the time we had to share with our loved ones. But now it's like either we choose to please them or the people that we grew up with.
Yeah.
Or we're going to choose to listen to our higher self, listen to our calling heart, and actually take that leap of faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone. And
no, it absolutely is not for everyone.
Because it's super tough. It's not easy, but it's doable for anyone who has the willpower and commitment in their own spiritual evolution and healing this deep intergenerational traumas, these lines that we were born in these timelines to be able to transform.
Yep.
And I want to also clear this out. It doesn't mean that we have hatred in our heart.
Yes.
It just means that we are able actually to forgive within. We are able to send love from, a far away place. We are able to do that, but we don't need, to be with our parents, to be with our family, to feel this unconditional love. Yes. Because we are timeless. We will be feeling love, eternally. So we don't need to be physically present in the life.
That is a very, very good point. That's a very good point.
Able,
love them from afar.
Have a connection or maintain a connection.
Exactly.
And for me, it was the best choice I have ever made to actually have this distance with my mother, because now our relationship is so much more, more healthy and positive. Yes. Because she's able to see me and seeing, my success and watching me, and I don't have to be impacted by her and everything that she has inside that is preventing me from realizing my full potential.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So, that's very, very true. I know for myself. So what happened for me was, and it was very weird because I had just turned 55. So this is in 2014. And my book was getting ready to launch. So this was the first edition of Effed Wide Open. And so it had gone live. Now I had a previous launch with a different publisher, and they decided before they published it that they wanted this section taken out and this section. I walked away from it. So I did a different thing. So this launch was very important because it was a culmination of almost 10 years. So I called my mother to tell her that, oh, it's gone. And I had just received the books physically. UPS had just dropped off a set, and I was excited about it and holding it in my hand. I mean, there was something really magical about it. And it went live on Amazon. So I call her, and the thing to do with my mom is that you have to ask her how she's doing. So I never, without fail, I always start with that. then I go into this thing. Now, my mother is a very frustrated, creative person. You know, bless her heart. And she got pissed. Like, all of a sudden, instead of congratulating me, and that was all that I wanted, my bad, I wanted that validation. At least, you know, like, congratulations, good job. You know, I'm 55. It's like, I'm not expecting hugs and kisses or a party or anything. So when she told me that, accused me of not asking how she was, and that I was a selfish, self-centered person, talking about myself and my book, no congrats there. She literally told me that I was selfish, told me to fuck off and die, and hung up on me.
But this is jealousy.
Wow.
And I'm looking at my little iPhone and I'm thinking, all righty then, you got it.
But you know what?
We've never spoken again.
You know
And
what?
I feel fine about it. You know what I mean? It's like, she did it. I didn't do it. I'm just, you know, I'm just aligned with that decision. And I'm telling you, what it did is that it started cleaning up a layer of my reality at that point, where all of the false, all of the agents of pretenders who are supposedly had my back, they were all outed. And my entire life in end of 2014, 20 went to shit, where I discovered everybody that was stabbing me in the back, stealing money from me, on and on and on. My 9-year-old YouTube channel went down, deplatformed completely. And I literally moved out of California like that. And I moved out of the country basically for 3 or 4 years. Nobody knew where I was. And so long story short, it's like, when you make the declaration to put yourself first, the universe starts conspiring and just outs all of the distortion, all of the liars, all of the cheaters, all of the backstabbers, all of the so-called users in your life, they all get outed. And sometimes you got to burn the house down.
Like hacking the matrix.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Full on.
No, it was really a shit show of like unbelievable proportion, where you think you're launching something amazing, at which you are, but you live it down like fucked wide open. Oh my God. It's like the universe just said, yeah, girl, you got to walk your talk. Just going to get rid of all the shit. And that's exactly what the universe did. So that's what happens.
That's exactly what it is. And that's actually where the power lies, right? Like when you get stripped to the 0 point, and from 0 point, you reconstruct. And I would love to ask you actually, if you could share some tools for self-mastery, something that you can recommend for our listeners. For
I think the best self-mastery tool, and it's not something that I came up with, but there's a book. I'm trying to remember exactly what it is, but it's The Marriage of Spirit. And it's, I believe the woman's name is Leslie Temple Thurston. And what she did is that she created these polarity exercises. And she calls them the squares exercises. And they are my favorite thing, next to journaling and burning. So I had a collection of journals, and so what I do with these journals is I finish the book and I burn the motherfucker. You know, I know people that have storage units filled with their shit, and they wonder why their lives don't change.
They can't let go.
They can't let go of it. You have to burn that shit. Okay, you got to burn it, because if you don't, and it's the same regurgitation over and over and over again, because you're just empowering
that energy.
Yeah, you got to let it go. So the squares polarity exercises are what I recommend, because what it does is that it excavates the totality of human experience, like the desire to be loved, the fear of being loved, the desire to not be loved, the fear of not being loved. And you write down everything under each of those headings. And then there's a prayer of integration that integrates the totality of that exercise, your experience as you're excavating it. And it's very powerful to, from your head into your heart, into your body, through the pen, through your hand. I recommend longhand, not the computer. And because the power of excavating it and writing it down on paper and then burning it, it's powerful, powerful, powerful. So that is my recommendation. And what that does too is that it actually balances and harmonizes the brain spheres so that they are integrated. It integrates the masculine and feminine, the being and the doing. Okay. It integrates the polarities of is this, is that, because in the end, the Taoists would say everything eventually becomes its opposite. So we've got all of this experience, the totality of human experience, the polarities and the opposites and everything beyond and within. And so by excavating that, the mind shatter, your ability to focus your attention on what is important to you, your ability to, line up with what is important to you, to actually feel it in the body, because it's not here anymore. There's not a ping pong match going on in your head. Rather, you've brought it down, you've integrated it. So I highly recommend, and it's free. I mean, except for the cost of paper and a pencil or a pen, a journal, and a match.
I absolutely love this exercise, and I'm gonna definitely include it in my practice. So powerful.
Awesome.
You can be like, like in the middle of all, and you can actually see the things for what they are.
Yes. Yes.
Like while you are really you are confronted with the truth. So this is like really powerful. So definitely I'm gonna apply myself doing it. And I want to ask more about your spiritual practice, because I'm curious about what you are doing each morning. You get into a little ritual. What are you doing?
I live very intentionally, and I am a creature of spiritual practices, habits, good habits. I meditate 15 minutes. That's it. And much of my meditation is really over a cup of coffee, honestly, and really pre-paving my day. I have a physical practice of, where I am right now, I am in the Sandia foothills of New Mexico. It's beautiful here. I'm at 7,000 feet. The landscape is pristine. It's not developed, so I am in with the creatures. So I see my critters, the coyotes, the road runners, the scorpions and the snakes and the little foxes and the field mice and the big cats and all that kind of stuff, and the birds of prey and the vultures, the turkey vultures. Oh my God. Yeah, and it's just so fun for me. So I do that. And I have a very simple yoga practice and a martial arts practice. I used to teach yoga, used to teach martial arts. I don't do it anymore. Really, really, really simple. My physical practices are 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes long at the most. And I am in the best physical shape than I have ever been in my entire life. When I was dancing and working out and, just killing myself. Like, what? Like, I don't do that stuff anymore, but that's what I do, and when I'm bothered by something, I have two friends and a mentor that I can actually go to like really get in there and get real and get honest, along with my journaling practices. So that one that I shared with you, the polarity exercises, the squares, that is really my go-to, where, because usually it's this, and I just feel crazy. I feel spun. And then after I do that, it's like, oh, you know, and I like pretty things. I'm into aromatherapy. I'm into smelling nice things, my crystals, got all my babies here. And it's just really surrounding myself with my tools and utilizing those tools.
That's beautiful. And again, this is what part of the healing journey takes us to. It's where we can create our own reality, be in our own space.
Yes.
And we learn, and we can always evolve the tools. But after years of practice and integration, we know what actually is going to work for us.
Yes.
And these tools really become the keys for us to be able to live our best life, to show up, to be able to do the work, and to be able to continue to transcend and transform this
Absolutely.
trauma.
Absolutely. And it's and
So
one
beautiful.
size does not fit all. I mean, I've gone through certain things where I used to be into guided meditations. You can't get me near one now. It's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I want to float into a coma so here's this guy. I can't do it. I just can't. I can't anymore.
I feel you on that. And I
So
would
I go
love
out
to
into
ask,
nature. That's better for me. That's a guided meditation right there. To just
that's the
really
real one.
pay attention to my layer of the universe. And because every time I'm out there, I was out there this morning, and you know, there's a treat waiting for me. There's a critter there waiting for me to connect with it. And just the sort of magical nature of insects and little critters, water cockroaches, you know, it's like, wow, dude, you're a little far from where you should be because there is no water here right now. So it's odd, you know, and just the choices that we make. Shall I go up the hill? Shall I go down the arroyo? And each choice opens this whole magical journey of just witnessing Mother Nature, witnessing the universe, and my, you know, my little relationship with my layer of the universe. It's pretty
That's
cool.
the best meditation that
I
we
guess
can
you won't be
possibly-
listening to my audio guided meditations.
Well, I don't know. Send it to me. I actually do. I actually do. I have mantras that I do, and I like those. So when I'm walking, quite often I'm doing one of my mantras, Om Vam Namaha. You know, so I'm doing that
Yeah.
There
because
you
it
go.
works
I
for
love it.
me.
I love
And it's all
mantras.
second chakra stuff, you know, and I work with a lot of people where that is a very that's a very tender, powerful spot of their human experience, and they're so unwinding all of that trauma through just little baby steps and little tools, even with the mantra, you know, it's good. It's really good.
Definitely. And I would love to ask you now, what are your current offerings and where can people find your work?
So people can find me, people are mostly finding me on the Instagram, which is kind of amazing. So I have a weird relationship with Instagram. My longtime assistant, Sabina, I met her in 1997 in London. She passed away in May 2018. And she was really kind of like my rock, where all the things that I did, she organized a lot of it, like did all my retreats and my online stuff. And then it was like over. And it is very strange to not have that. So I've had to learn how to like really do things on my own and not be so fancy. So some people remember my old YouTube channel. I was fancy. I had false eyelashes. I was wearing couture. Everything was slick, edited. Now I got my fucking iPhone. I hit it. I'm like right here with my plants in the background. Bad lighting. I get a lot of emails about the bags under my eyes. Like whatever. This is not a fucking beauty channel. Fuck off. So I don't care. It's just I have a lot of material. I've got a lot of content that needs to be shared in its simplest form. So that's what I'm focusing in on. I'm just now closing out a reality creation mastermind that I offered on Discord. So that's getting ready to finish at the end of November. And basically what I'm working on right now is several ebook launches, a launch of a feature film that is going to quote unquote prove the validity of energy work. I'm not part of it, but I'm one of the affiliates of it. And not that I need that, but hey, it's a way to get the word out, because that's one of the important things, is to debunk a lot of the shit that the Matrix claims that gets people really afraid to check into other possibilities, check into why it is that they feel certain ways around certain people, and check the energy of that. So there's that. I'm also working on 5 book projects, of which there's going to be a 3rd edition of my first book. And then the 2nd book and the 3rd book, I'm going to combine it. I'm combining it in one unit and endeavoring to do that. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm making a new website with my colleague, Adam Finnegan. And so that is LoveTruth&Beauty.com. MarjaWest.com is going to be redirected in there. So if people want to get a hold of me, Instagram at dakini.kiss is the best way. You can DM me there. And of course, there's the YouTube channel, Love, Truth, and Beauty. And that's what's happening. Oh, the other thing that I'm doing too is I'm I know I am really, really busy. I have actually a number of trauma deactivator candidates right now that are going through the not just the curriculum, but it's testing time. So they're turning in their video projects and all that kind of stuff. So I have a winter's work in terms of watching all the videos and, making all the comments and, troubleshooting a lot of that. And it's just like, it's fun. I mean, this is part of the work. It's not for everybody, but the people that seem to be attracted to this work they're spot on. And these people are rare. You two are rare. The fact that you two are so young and get the components that really try to just squish and squash down human creativity, the Matrix, you get that, and you get that trauma cannot be healed within the Matrix. That is like, it's platinum. It's platinum, because most people who claim to be trauma healers, they're stuck in the Matrix and they're not effective. And not only are they not effective, they're dangerous, because they are triggering suicide programs, super soldier programs of a lot of the trauma-based mind control that has been perpetrated. I mean, these are crimes against humanity within the Matrix. And a lot of people don't give any of that stuff credence. They think it's bullshit, fake news. And it's not fake news, it's for real. So thank you both for your work.
Us, and it's the background, right? Our life experience, the trauma, and being in the Matrix and being swallowed whole by the Matrix and having to rip ourselves out of the belly of the beast.
Exactly.
I mean, this all adds on to more strength for us to continue to do this path. And I want to thank you for being this warrior and for paving the path for us. And
Oh,
I
you're
want to
welcome. My pleasure.
I can only imagine, how it was growing up well, being born in the 60s, right?
I was
And then
born in the 50s.
okay, the 50s. So growing up in the revolution, I mean, growing up through some very tough times where,
Yes.
we had rock stars at that time that were paving the way for the following generations and this
Yes.
movement. So thank you so much for this work, because I can only imagine how it must feel and the strength that it takes to be in this body still,
Yeah.
and to be able to see all these shifts and to now be able to move through and be where you want to be. It takes a lot of work. And I want to acknowledge you that. And now you're able to use your superpower, and you have all these amazing projects, and you're just full power. And when I see you, I just see this eternal being who doesn't have an age, but is ancient and is still radiating and doesn't even
Thank you
look like
so
he's
much.
aged.
I really appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah. And what is rare as well is that you are truly embodying your teachings. And it's rare, and you are
Yes.
really, because I can feel your energy. I feel into your energy. I feel into your light. I feel you. I feel your heart. I feel, like your
Thank you. I feel you
authenticity.
both. Well, and here's the thing too, is that the moment I veer off the path, I get a bitch slap. The universe just goes, the fuck are you doing? And it's like, whoa. And I'm very acutely aware of, the kind of the places where I'm just completely cuckoo. And then I have to I gotta snap my ass out of it. It's like, okay, girl, okay, let's do some polarity exercises. Let's do some squares. Do some squares. Or I call up one of my girls going, help me pull my head out of my butt because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So I have those moments, it's not all like happy love and light. I don't know. There's some times where I really, sometimes I want to say this because it's kind of funny when I get to this place. So when I get to this place where I am just sick of shit and I get mad and I start thinking, I wish a fucking comet would just come and just take us out because we don't deserve this place. I start laughing because I realize, oh, that is what the Matrix wants me to do. He wants me to get really upset and reactive to the shit show in the current screen of reality and get me to fucking trip out and wish for a comet to come to take out the world. And it's like, no, girl, take it back. So it's like, and one of the things that I love doing this is that anytime shit goes wrong, I seek the advantage of it, because what it does is that it levels the matrix. And I'm back in the true quantum field creation field universe, owning my attention, because what I'm doing is I'm turning it around and I'm seeking the benefit and the advantage of any shit show that I find myself mesmerized by or adhering to. Okay. Because one of the powerful things in reality creation is that you can actually hop onto the momentum of a shit show and own it. Own it in a way that catapults you, brings you closer to the creation that you are endeavoring to intend into materialization. And it is using the matrix for your own purposes, doing no harm, wishing no ill to anybody, but seeing the benefits of what you can do with that shit show and utilize in order to bring your work forward. Make a point that illuminates reality for folks who are really, really struggling with something. So that's one of the things that I'm learning how to do, is to just really hack into the technology of the matrix and not push up against it. Like I used to get down on social media. I don't get down on it anymore. I utilize it as a tool to reach the people that I need to reach in order to effectively teach people how to up level and quantum jump their lives and be that creative being and move through trauma and eliminate or you know, just really evolve from victim to victorious. I think that's really important.
Powerful, powerful.
Well, thank you so much for blessing us with your wisdom and your strength, your love, your truth, your beauty. It's all important.
Thank you so much. Thank you both. It's really been an honor and a privilege. And I love you both. Good job.
We
Good
love
work.
you. We love you. And we're just gonna pause it. But yeah, that went great. And I'm glad that